Alright, it's tier list time. Hey forum, my name is Manny, aka CascadeScents, and if you're at all interested in perfumes, colognes, fragrances in general, well, this might be the channel for you. I'm not a fragrance expert, more like a fragrance enthusiast, and if you also like discussing fragrances, especially of the Dior variety, I think you may especially like this one. Of course, this is on my Dior men's fragrance tier list, but before we get on with that, just a friendly reminder, 500 likes and a random one of you subscribers in the comment section below will have your comment pinned at the top, as you'll be the lucky recipient of an assorted niche fragrance sample pack. So if you'd like to be eligible to potentially win really expensive samples of really expensive fragrances, again, please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And yeah, as far as comments, please specifically tell me which Christian Dior fragrance is your favorite in the comment section below. And to be honest, if you're looking at the bottom of the video here, it's kind of sad because your favorite fragrance might no longer be on here. And I say might because it really depends where you're at. For example, I live in North America and I know a lot of you guys do as well. As a result, we can really go off of what's around here. And yeah, I'm sad to say that this is it. Like, this is how small the Dior men's fragrance division has become. Like, they just dead ass dropped Eau Sauvage Parfum 2017, that was 2 years ago. And even classics like Dior Homme are gone now. Like, it's just depressing how this brand has become all of a sudden just Sauvage driven. Which I get, it's your main cash cow, but when you think about it in retrospect, not having these other fragrances aren't going to benefit your brand. It was really cool because back in the day, Dior was that brand that you can go to for orientals, that you can go to for freshies, really metrosexual stuff. It just had all your bases covered properly. Performance was good too, nothing really felt watered down. Like, regardless of each line in the men's fragrance division, they all felt like they were being true to themselves. And now I feel like the line that is being the most true to itself is Sauvage somehow. Don't worry, I'll get to all of this and I'll try to be as fair as possible right now. And as per usual, I will start backwards, so we're gonna go on with Very Cool Spray. Yes, Sauvage Very Cool Spray, like literally the stupidest flanker ever. Like, I get it, you want to make a more effervescent Sauvage Eau de Toilette or something like that. But in my mind, if you're just going to the gym or if you're coming home from the gym, wouldn't you just put on some deodorant on those pulse points and then maybe spray less Sauvage EDT on you? Like, instead of 2, 3, 4 sprays, maybe just 1 or 2 tops? I just really don't get this one. I feel like it was an egregious release when it dropped. I still feel that way. I can't think of anyone who says that this is their favorite Sauvage fragrance. I don't know anyone who just has this one without already being a fan of the other ones. Therefore, I can also say that I don't know anyone who likes this one the most too. So with that being said, just because I feel like it's one of the more throwaway releases from Dior ever, this one is getting an F tier. Great, I feel like we've gotten off to an amazing start. Next up, we have the Sauvage Parfum. And what's cool about Sauvage Parfum is that it continued with the trend of the Sauvage Eau de Parfum. It's less metallic as well, but here you have something that's a little bit more soft woodsy driven. Doing that and focusing less on the effervescent elements of Sauvage, I guess, is supposed to evoke some sort of luxury and or just being more premium. You even see that depicted on the bottle here with various hues rather than just blue. I guess that's supposed to be alluring in a higher cachet kind of way, but with that being said, I just don't feel like it's remotely worth $150 for 100 ml. Again, that's very much niche territory, and of course they're kind of trying to channel what Bleu de Chanel was doing with the Bleu de Chanel Parfum release as well from last year. And the thing is, I like this fragrance a little less than that one. Not saying it's bad, again, it's really pleasant, but we have better selections ahead, and that's why this one too also gets a low ass rating. We're gonna go with an E tier. Trust me, it gets better, don't worry. Starting right here, we have the OG itself, the Eau de Toilette version of Sauvage. Of course, we can all argue that Bleu de Chanel started the Bleu fragrance trend, but it was Sauvage that kind of catapulted it into superstardom. Now this kind of fragrance DNA is just very ubiquitous, and I still feel like this stuff right here is very good at what it is supposed to do. All seasons, all occasions, and really good feedback. So again, the more you want to make a statement, spray more. The less, spray less. It really is that AK-47 and or Swiss Army knife of a set. That being said, it's still too metallic for my personal liking. Yeah, sure, the bergamot's really good and or how nice the rest of the ambroxan is, but I personally get really tired of wearing this, and I actually know people who might have complimented initially actually get tired of smelling it too. And to be honest, if that weren't the case with how I think the metallicness strains my nose, I would at least give it an A tier. I don't think I could give it straight up S remotely though, just because of where this fragrance clearly came from in Bleu. But again, I just really don't enjoy wearing this myself, even an hour in. But what can I say? It's the OG, it deserves some respect. Sauvage gets a B tier. But now let's move on to my favorite version of Sauvage, and that is the Eau de Parfum. And yeah, sure, it's a little bit more more than the Eau de Toilette at $120 US for a 100 ml. But at the same time, I do feel like that kind of evaluation isn't that egregious for a fragrance that I ultimately think is just a more pleasant wear. I do think that it's more refined with how less metallic it is, and I kind of wish that this was the version that they initially dropped. I just feel like it's Sauvage refined, and it does give me adequate performance as well. I mean, it's a straightforward blue fragrance, so what can I say? There's not a lot to say here, other than, again, my take on it with it being one of the better ones at this genre. So you know what? I think Sauvage Eau de Parfum also gets something high. It's gonna get an 8 here. And there it is for the Sauvage line. They're kind of all over the place, as you see. And moving on, next up we have the Fahrenheit line with just Fahrenheit now. And this is tragic because this Fahrenheit line has so many good flankers. So many good flankers that are unfortunately no longer available here in North America. So again, if you still have access to Le Parfum, again, if you have access to Aqua, things like that, fair play to you. Awesome. I wish we did here. But again, because we don't, that's why I'm only covering Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit as it stands here in 2019. So we'll see. Or I guess you'll see, because I know exactly how I feel about this scent. And honestly, despite how reformulated it is now, like with that leathery and smoky violet leaf accord that kind of comes off as petrol / gasoline-like, I still think that you ultimately get it here. Like, I definitely feel like I'm warming up with this scent, hence the name Fahrenheit. As a result, I still feel like this iteration is still worthy of a fall classic and the name Fahrenheit. And despite not being a big fan of this line overall, I am glad it is around for those OGs who do appreciate this. So I really do feel like I owe Fahrenheit some respect on its name. That's why it's also getting an 8 here. But now it's time to move on to the oldest fragrance on this list, the OG Freshy Aromatic in Eau Sauvage. Citrusy, fresh, spicy, and aromatic herbal-like in a old man kind of way. Not old man, sorry, more like grown man. Like, to me, this is a grown man citrus scent. Like, while I might rock something like Dior Homme Cologne at the pool or maybe Dior Homme Sport at the gym, this is something that I couldn't see doing that kind of stuff per se. But if I'm just taking it easy, wearing some smart casual attire for maybe a spring day, I think the scent is still very good. But for being a freshie on this list, I don't think it aged well, just because despite being a freshie, I think freshies also have to be that much more crowd pleasing. So I just don't think that it is remotely the closest to the most crowd pleasing scent on this list. But I can't help but feel like some people who used to rock it back then might try to rock something else from this same brand for a newer type of fresh and or something that might even last more. But it's still really nice. It's still a classic. Again, have to put some respect on that. As a result, Eau Sauvage gets a B tier. Moving on, we have the latest version of Dior Homme Sport. So here we go with the Dior Homme line, and good lord does that look depleted without Dior Homme Intense. But yeah, also a part of me does really feel sad about this one being the way it is now. Just because I think out of the 3 Dior Homme Sports that we do know, I think the 2012 version, the previous version to this, was the finest. Like, the fact that they were able to make Iris, which is one of the trademarks of the Dior Homme DNA, into something sporty, I thought was really, really cool. Like, I deadass would have hopped on a treadmill with that and not feel out of place with it. But the thing is, despite me liking that scent that much, we have something here which is arguably a more appropriate sports scent. And I also feel like despite the lack of Iris and how much more citrus dominated it is, it still feels like it has some of the Dior Homme DNA in there too. That and it lasts for citrus, which I can't say for another one on this list. So I do think that it fulfills a niche here, and I think it does fulfill a niche here better than maybe Very Cool Spray for Sauvage when it comes to that similar niche of a sporty and or more effervescent scent. So you know what, I'm also going to give Dior Homme Sport a B tier. Deadass though, I think that the second / previous version would have gotten at least an A from me. But I digress. Moving on, we have Dior Homme Eau for Men now. And this fragrance is kind of a pioneer in itself because it helped inspire other fragrances outside of this brand. Like, this really does feel like a metrosexual, young urban professional office scent. And I think that's such an appropriate niche to be filled. So you know what, I do have to give it props for that. Also performs the way I'd want it to in that environment as well. So you know what, Dior Homme Eau for Men also gets an A tier. Winding down now though, we have Dior Homme Cologne now. And Dior Homme Cologne is also again one of those fragrances kind of like Dior Homme Sport Cologne, in how I know more people who like that scent, that talk about that scent, but they don't actually own that scent. But I do really feel like it's an appropriate badass take on a pool scent for the Dior Homme line. So when I see it advertised by the water and stuff like that for the summer, like, oh gosh, I just want to spray this stuff onto me. So it's lovely execution overall for me in Dior Homme Cologne. As a result, it also gets an A tier. Like, I know it's light enough, but I feel like it's also the most untouched version of any of the Dior Homme fragrances that are available here in North America as it stands right now. So again, I'm gonna give it a lot of props for that. But now, last but not least, we have the OG Dior Homme. And what I loved most about the initial Dior Homme and this Francois Demachy version is that it really felt like an all-rounder scent for the modern day Eddie Slimane metrosexual from the Dior Homme line. Like, you have that androgynous iris note, you have some sweets in there, it also had some fresh elements. Like, I deadass would have reached for this any time during the year. Again, just spray more for the winter and less in the summer. However, it no longer feels like an all-rounder with how reformulated it is now. Like, out of anything listed here, I feel like this is the most reformulated scent on the list. It feels way more sacked than it should, but still Dior Homme and a pioneer at that. Again, I wouldn't have one of my favorite scents ever in Dior Homme Parfum if it wasn't for this initial offering. So again, I still have to put some respect on its name. Dior Homme is getting a B tier. I do wish that I had a more exciting layout for this brand. You know, they still do an okay enough job as far as covering all their bases, albeit not as well as they once did. However, it is rather tragic because we're omitting some really good stuff. I do feel like it can't get much worse for Dior come 2020. But again, there it is for them. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys participated as well. So again, if you'd like, in the description below too, you have the tier list available for yourselves. So mess around with it, have some fun, because fragrance is supposed to be fun anyway, and this is a fun way, in my opinion, to be able to compare and contrast how you feel about each offering from X brand. So yeah, let me know what you guys come up with in the comment section below. Again, also tell me your favorite Dior fragrances as well, I'd love to know. And again, if you'd also like to be eligible for that 500 like giveaway, also like and subscribe too. But until then, I think that about does it for sure now. You guys are awesome as always. Take care for now. Peace out. Bye. Where are your fragrances?